As I said, we are the generation of the Jewish sovereign self. We believe that we are the self is sovereign, as opposed to what? As opposed to halacha, as opposed to nostalgia, as opposed to our parents, as opposed to the tradition. The previous generation believes some combination of those things. One represented, the burden of Judaism, the yoke of Judaism was hanging over your head, either because of this way your parents did it, the way you remember it, because the rabbi talks about the halacha, the man you do this, guilt, which results in guilt. So my parents, I was raised in a home that was treif outside and kosher inside, but we were guilty about it, or if you machal Shabbos, you do it and you know you're making a mistake, and you should hide it and you should walk around. The example I like to give is that on Shabbos there are certain things my mother wouldn't do, like heavy cleaning or heavy cooking, but we still would ask them to go to the grocery store. Get a cup of milk, whatever. So every day when I would go walking with her, and as a little boy, to go Flat Avenue, we go straight down Parkside Avenue, pick up our things, and come back with the shopping cart. Come on Shabbos. On Shabbos, the rabbi and the chazan lived on Parkside near Flatbush. So what we would do is we would take this big, detour. We go, up to Bedford Avenue, make a left turn, go up Park, and go around Flatbush, and come back. And only years later that I understand what my mother was doing. She was like literally taking a walk around the halacha. Particularly walking around the halacha. But she was, but there was a sense of this is respect for the halacha, for the rabbi, the chazan, and you see that in a lot of places outside of the United States, Canada, UK. You'll hear about this. That rabbi I met was a rabbi Orthodox rabbi in a shul in Montreal, and he said basically the people fight over the parking spaces. That you can't park in the shul, so you can park near the shul because the whole and everyone's driving, and then you walk the last 3 feet to the shul. So there's still that sense. What happens between that generation and my generation is my generation said, you don't do that. I spoke at a conservative rabbinical convention in the assembly. I told the story, and someone volunteered. It wouldn't happen like this now. So what would happen? Well, first of all, I was sitting on the porch of my apartment. Someone was wheeling their wagon. They would wave and go, "Good Shabbos, Rabbi," and no, there's a dog. I got a better story. This is a true story. I walk to shul every Shabbos morning, and I have congregants who see me walking and feel bad for me. And they're driving their car. They'll slow down the car and they'll escort me to shul because I shouldn't walk to shul by myself. Even that there's really no sense that there's something wrong with that. We're in a new. This was 1998 when I gave this talk, so I knew things had really, really shifted. Yeah.
The conservative movement permits driving to shul.
Yes. Officially, there's a hefter on the stage. You're right. But you're talking about the elite. My teacher Charles Liebman told me that there's elite Judaism and there's folk Judaism. On the elite level, you're perfectly correct. On the folk level, there's still recognition that maybe this is not such the right thing to do. I'm just telling you, there really is a distinction there. And you're right, technically, no question. And that rabbi could be a rabbi who could say it's it's permitted, others would say no, but that it was clear, the entire room understood that this conversation had meaning about the breakdown of guilt and the sense of we all make Judaism for ourselves. We're all sovereign selves. Even the Jews who will go to Shul Shabbos in a conservative shul. So the basic components of the sovereign self are these 5 or 6 elements. One is the inalienability of being Jewish. When my Uncle Sally married a non-Jew and went to live in California, he was literally alienated from the family. The family was alienated from Sally. Today, when Arnie Eisner and I did our interviews back in the 1990s, people have said, no matter what I do, what I don't do, I'm still Jewish. or we saw the Jewish home. Even before my husband converted to Judaism, we had a Jewish home. In a sense, it's like that song, you can't take that away from me. You can't take being Jewish away from me. No matter what I do, which means that there are no more rules that can get you thrown out. You can support Arafat or the PLO or whatever the other guys they have. You can say I don't want to give to UJA and I don't want to Shabbos. I'll do what I want. I don't need to be educated and I'm still Jewish. That was not the sense in the 1950s. There was a sense of certain things you can do, and then you're kind of social caterer, so you're being boycotted. The second thing is volunteerism. I mentioned that Jews feel free to pick and choose how they want to live their lives as Jews. Third is autonomy, which will now grow into the next generation. You younger people, is what I'm talking about you in a second. Autonomy is the sense that not only can I pick and choose, but I want to do it myself. And Richie Siegel, who's in this community now, edited a book called the Jewish Catalog. It's a Jewish do-it-yourself catalog. Basically, it was my generation, my people, I was going to say something in the third edition, what I didn't sell. Not the Strapfeld, but Richie Siegel. Yeah. And the book is basically it's the current generation's Mishnah Torah. You don't have to know anything. Just read this book and you can do Judaism yourself. You don't need a rabbi, you don't need an educator, you don't need your parents. Read this book and you'll do Judaism yourself. A strong sense of autonomy that will grow in the next generation. Personalism, my teacher Charles Lincoln taught me that Jews are making decisions on the basis of on the basis of personal meaning. And today, if you go anywhere you go, everyone talks about getting meaning from my Judaism. You mentioned, remember you were upstairs and you said, I connect with my Judaism when I read Torah. What a wonderful, I was listening to that, I thought. And what a wonderful expression. I assure you, there was not a sense of what the hell is my Judaism? It's Judaism. Judaism has become personal. I'm using you as proof next. There's a sense of anti-judgmentalism. So the old new term, judgmentalism wasn't a word before the 1990s. It means that no matter what, if Judaism is a personal matter, if I can do it myself, if I can make choices, no matter what I do, you can't throw me out, then who are you to judge my choices? So there's a strong sense of fierce opposition to being judged as a Jew, and they're really, and give all kinds of examples, people are really upset if a rabbi or somebody else looks like they're criticizing their way of being Jewish. So it's a true story. So Rabbi Mo Allen had a year in which he was trying to get people to eat a little more kosher. Because wherever you are, step up. Go. So we had a campaign called Chew by Choice. Right? And there were congregants who were offended. What do you mean? These are conservative congregants in a conservative city with a really popular, very, very, very beloved rabbi. Nevertheless, they were offended that the rabbi was implying that somehow something wrong with my Judaism. So that's my generation. You see that we're laying some seeds, and now we come to the new generation. You look like you could be in that category. You under 30? Yeah. You under 30? Just under 30. I wasn't sure. Right? I still do this. I was 23-year-old girl. I compare things to her. She gets older. I can do something like that. So, in your generation, how is your generation different from my generation? Your generation is different. When you're Jewishly engaged, you believe. You can tell me if I'm wrong, which is okay. People do all the time. In the ABCD rule. What's the ABCD rule? It was a Shabbos word that you couldn't take notes. This is why I invented this rule. ABCD. A, we're alienated, maybe connected personally. But we young people, even if we're committed to being Jewish, we want to be Jewish in a different way. Now this, by the way, has been going on for a long time. Right? I think there's a Torah reading too, which talks about this generation. And since then, we've had this issue. It starts with Terach, right? There's Terach and Abraham, and going forward. So every generation thinks, every old generation mourns the loss of its Judaism, and every younger generation invents, not my father's Golden Not my father's Judaism. listen to me, so you're there to do it too. Talk about it. You should look at me well, and your children will